You know, when they take action like they did against Debbie, a big part of what they want to do is intimidate people. I think tonight the residents have shown they're not intimidated. But I'd also like to congratulate all our members at Island Homes who reacted not by being intimidated, but by balloting for strike action to show their support for them. And I'd like people to perhaps give a warm welcome to our members. I'm glad to say they're fully backed by a national union. Our next speaker is a member of our national executive. He's also a housing worker, and he's also got a special interest, I suppose, because he himself is also facing victimisation. He's travelled down a long way today to be with us, all the way from Leeds to offer solidarity. So I'd like a very warm welcome for John McDermott.
I have to wear my glasses because at 48 my eyes are failing, so let's keep looking at this. It's always a pleasure to come down to London. I come down to London quite a lot actually on National Executive Council duties, and my daughter is trying hard to be a Londoner. She's moved into Whitechapel. She's really enjoying the London experience, and to be honest, I don't think I'm going to get back to Leeds, not anytime soon. Now, last time I came down to London, I was speaking to John, who's a close personal friend of mine, and he was telling me about what was happening to Debbie. And the more I heard about what was happening to Debbie, the more incensed I became. Because although some of the fine details being filled in by the speakers tonight, I've been a trade union activist for 27 years, and I know a lie when I hear them, and I know rubbish when I hear it, and I know trumped up charges when I hear them. And these are trumped up charges. Any employer can make up any rubbish about you and try and make them stick, and clearly this is what's happening for Debbie. And it's an absolute disgrace, because what I tend to find, and actually to a certain degree, Debbie, I think it's to your credit, because of having been an activist for 27 years and seen lots and lots of different types of activists, it's only the good activists that get targeted by their employers. The poor activists, the ones that don't represent the members, the ones that don't represent the people that they work for, you know, they don't get targeted, they get sweetheart deals, and they get promoted. So, you know, you've done yourself it's actually a badge of honour, Debbie, that they're actually attacking you. It might not feel like that, but actually, what I'm also listening to what's happened tonight, from the speakers tonight, is I actually think there's a pattern emerging here. Because Debbie is just one of the long list of trade union activists who are being targeted all over the country. And I'll mention three. A friend of mine, Eunice Pax, in Northumberland, a trade union activist for 30 odd years, sacked under false charges of bullying and harassment after successfully challenging management over cutting meals to patients and exposing their 37% bonuses. Karen Reisman sacked in the NHS for speaking out against NHS cuts. And myself facing the sack tomorrow for actually representing Unison members, and the reason the management are so unhappy with us, and it's actually a mirror image of what's happening with your companies. They're housing Almo when I work for, and they're taking a massive backward steps into the reform. Senior managers have got massive bankrolled pay rises, services to tenants have suffered, and have now got 4.5 million black hole in their budget. And it appears to me I could actually be sitting in a meeting in East Leeds talking about the organisation I work for, rather than down in London and listening to what's happened to you. And the reason I think that trade union activists are targeted is for two things. The first one, increasingly I think trade unions are the voice of social conscience in Britain at the moment. And they're the voice of reason. You couldn't make it up, could you? That somebody who brings a bank into £25 billion worth of losses receives a pension of £650,000 a year. And it's the unions that are speaking out against that. You couldn't make it up, could you, that we've got a £500 billion fund for the banks, but we've got to insist on part privatising the post office. You couldn't make it up. And it's the trade unions that are leading the charge on these common sense issues, saying this isn't right. And clearly this is one of the reasons Debbie's been attacked, because Debbie has been speaking common sense and straight talk, when actually they don't want common sense and straight talk, they want management speak. I also think that the reason that Debbie and people like Debbie are targeted is because you can't be a housing worker like I am for 27 years, and Debbie for 30 years, or a nurse for 27 years, or a nurse for 30 years, and not actually care about the service you work in. You can't work that long in an organisation and not care about the residents or the tenants, and you can't work that long without caring about how the services are delivered. And again, they don't want to hear arguments from people who work in the organisation saying you're doing that wrong and you're misusing that money. Well, the reason for the targeted East North East Jobs is because we've successfully smashed an operation to close down the caretaking service and to build your own pay rise for the caretakers, and they've never forgiven us for that. But I think what I've also heard tonight is that the fundamental issue with this outsourcing, this privatisation, this stock transfer agenda, it's not just that there's an argument to say it's a waste of public money, not just that actually it doesn't deliver for tenants and residents, but clearly it's not been delivering, but actually there's a democratic deficit when you do that. Because who are these people accountable to? Who can these people be held account to? At least when you work for the local authority or a big public sector employee, the councillors can be dragged in and say, what's going on here? And actually, if you don't sort these out, mate, we ain't voting for next time, we'll get somebody that does. The problem with these groups, the housing associations, the stock transfer landlords, almos, is they become a law to themselves. They award themselves massive pay rises, but they don't take the responsibility that goes with that pay rise, and they try and silence any opposition. I would say to you, Debbie, that actually you've got my support, because I have only just met Debbie tonight, but she's one of my sisters. She's a sister in the trade union movement, and she's a sister in the public services, and I think she deserves everybody's support. I also like to say to you, Debbie, it's looking pretty, I know it's dark where you are at the moment. You've been sacked and it's terrible, and I'm in the same situation that my friends are, but it's never over until it's over. And one of the speakers was saying it costs money to get justice. Well, actually, if it costs money, we'll have to pay for the money to get the justice. But actually, what we really need is not just justice for you, but justice for all the residents and people who work in that organisation. All I can say is you've got my solidarity, love, and just keep at them. Thanks very much.
Point there, because inside the council, your rights to appeal are to councillors when you're dismissed. And when we transferred, the equivalent body was the resident board. If you're sat by the management, you've got the right to appeal to residents. And I'll stand in front of you and I'll say this. I would have every confidence if we were going to an appeal either of councillors or of residents, Debbie would be reinstated. But one housing group, who do you think the appeal will be to? An assistant director, not of Island Housing, of one housing group, not even Debbie's employer. Debbie is not employed by one housing group. That is how bad the democracy goes. And I will say one thing, because people mentioned all the RSLs. I've got to say, of all the ones I've dealt with, one housing group are the worst. And I'll tell you one thing about them. On the day of the dismissal, I've dealt with disciplines for many, many years. And in all honesty, you can normally tell, when you look people in the eye, you can tell what the outcome's going to be. If they look down, you know the worst. In the East End, I think it's one of our strengths, people talk straight. You know what people, if they're going to do something they don't like, they'll look you in the eye and say it. I'll tell you, one housing group, they smile in your face and stab you in the back. That's the kind of people they are. And that's why I have to make sure that Debbie is reinstated. I said, one of the things they do to you when they victimise, they want to make you small and alone and isolated and beaten. And what you have done tonight has shown Debbie is not alone. She's not isolated. She's not going to be beaten. And we're going to fight until we have won her reinstatement. It's been an absolutely fantastic meeting. I want to say thank you on behalf of Debbie and to her family and all of us in Unison, because we've always striven to have unity between tenants, residents and the trade union, and tonight it's living here in this room. We have an old trade union slogan, an injury to one is an injury to all, and that's what people have shown tonight, solidarity and standing together. As I said, there are things we want you to go away from this meeting and do. Firstly, make sure you do get those messages in. Let one housing group know just how strongly people feel. Secondly, our members are balloting. We'll have the result of that vote on the 9th of March. And I'll urge all residents to support what action people take, not because they want to take action, they know it affects you, because we have to stand up and say enough is enough. You cannot pick off and victimise our stewards and think that you'll get away with it. Not here. You may have got away with it somewhere else. You may think you can do it somewhere else. You're not doing it here on the Isle of Dogs with these workers or these residents. Yeah. This is not the end of this campaign. The next step will be the appeal. We'll have to make some decisions over the next few days what we do around the appeal. But I hope I'm right in saying whatever we decide, you will be with us and you will make sure that it's a success. Very last thing, if you haven't signed in on the way in, please do sign in the way out. As I said, an injury to one is an injury to all. We will stand together. We are going to get Debbie reinstated.